Let's preview tonight's Spurs-Kings game. What's all this Trae Young discussion going about right now? And catch up with some Spurs news.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the San Antonio Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. And can you believe it? Yeah, Spurs action is back tonight against the Kings. We're going to be talking about that. A little quick preview, what to expect. Yes, they're still on the road trip. They're going to bring our guest, Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. We're going to be discussing this whole Trae Young-Spurs rumbling that we're hearing about, and then catch up with some Spurs news that you may have missed. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. Follow us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the Kens 5 Plus app. The list goes on and on. And always, we appreciate you. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs will help you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So, hey, Spurs action is back tonight in Sacramento. The Spurs are continuing their road trip. They still got a few more games out there before coming back home. I'm pretty sure they get a good welcome back, but, got to take care of business at hand, and that is the Sacramento Kings. So let's go ahead and preview tonight's game. So Spurs are coming into tonight's game 11-44. Kings are 31-23. And in case you've forgotten, let's rewind the clock. The Spurs are coming off a road loss against Dallas, 116-99. Wemby watch. He recorded 26 points and 9 rebounds. Sohan had 10 points and 4 rebounds. Keldon Johnson had 3 points off the bench. Not a good night for him. Vassell had 11 points in the loss. Trey Jones added 4 points and 2 assists. For those on Jersey watch, the Spurs will be in their City Edition jerseys tonight versus Sacramento. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a few things, as we always do, to get you ready for tonight's contest. And as always, we'll start off with the opposition, so the Kings. So here's what you got to look out for. So the Kings have been on a tear on the rebounding edge. So they have out-rebounded their opponents in 4 straight games. So the Spurs want any chance to beat the Kings tonight. Got to keep them off the glass. They got to control the rebounding category. With Wemby there, hopefully that'll be a lot easier. But yeah, keep an eye on that. The Kings have been crashing the boards of late. Good news is, I guess, for the Spurs is that the Kings, despite them crashing the boards, they actually have been turning the ball a lot. Now, in the last 2 games, they've recorded more turnovers than their opponents. Now, the Spurs are going to take advantage of that. Get out in transition, points off turnovers, those easy points. If the Kings are continuing this pattern, those are easy opportunities for the Spurs to go to Sacramento and get the upset win. Spurs don't want to see the Kings light the beam, all right? Don't light the beam on San Antonio tonight. Don't let that happen, Spurs. So keep an eye on that for the Spurs to benefit them. Kings have been turning the ball over. Now, keep an eye on the scoreboard as well. The Kings are 13-1 in their gym when they're leading at halftime. So if they're up at half, they don't relinquish the lead. So if you're seeing that come halftime, Spurs are down. Yikes, might be another L for the Spurs. Now let's go look at the Spurs side of things. So as much as the Kings tend to be dominant at home when leading at halftime, the Spurs on the road are dominant as well. As a matter of fact, they're undefeated. They're 4-0 on the road when leading after the 3rd period. So that's a great trend. If you see the Spurs up on the scoreboard, that is, then going into the final frame, then yeah, kudos to Spurs. That's a good chance Spurs can go into Sacramento and get a W. Now, this is the first game of a back-to-back. They play Sacramento tonight, and then they play the Lakers tomorrow. So bad news is the Spurs are below 500 in the first game of a back-to-back. They're 3-6. So hopefully that's a trend the Spurs can buck. So there you have it, your quick Spurs-Kings preview. Coming up next, we're going to have Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. We're going to get into this whole Trae Young-Spurs rumblings, all that stuff. There is something that concerns Raul about any potential deal the Spurs would have with Atlanta. And then we're going to catch you up with some Spurs news and notes. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. First, I want to talk to you about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Look, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals for the right role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Look, LinkedIn Job isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals that you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Look, LinkedIn Jobs, look, they know that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. You should too. They even launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process easier and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to join that and post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Also, I talked about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. San Antonio, listen up. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee right now. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's in the 281 to 1604 area. Look, they're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. No excuse for you to not take a trip and go visit them. They got a great menu. Need a latte? They got it. Cold brew? They got it. You need a Red Bull infused Lightning Bolt series drink? I recommend the strawberry. They have that too. They have dairy alternatives, caffeine-free drinks if you want to take it easy. Signature drinks like the OG OJ. They have it all. Their menu even includes mini donuts. That's right, mini donuts. And their signature coffee, the Mudslinger itself. I highly recommend that one as well. They got a friendly staff. They're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member of San Antonio. And they're very friendly on social media. Find them on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Pick a platform. They are there at Mudslinger SATX. Look, I go there. Everybody in San Antonio pretty much goes there. They're their one-stop place you got to go to get your caffeine fix or your caffeine-free fix as well. They have it all. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. So go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee right now. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go there right now, San Antonio. Why? Because life is too short for bland coffee. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by my good friend Raul Dominguez. He is the AP sports writer out here in San Antonio. Follow him on X at Dominguez5. Raul, I've always been asking you this. Are you a big fan of the Tasmanian Devil? Because that's on your X page.
Definitely. I've always sort of had a think for the Tasmanian Devil just because all the destruction he causes. And then, when I was a little terror when I was younger. So
yeah. You're still a terror, by the way.
Not like I used to be. My mom with my poor mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. I was never a Taz kind of kid growing up, but my dad told me stories when he was a kid that he was a Tasmanian Devil with his mom, my grandmother, to the point where every time my grandma wanted to discipline him, that he would just run up and down the neighborhood. And I said, "Why would you do that?" He goes, "Because she had to get tired eventually." So
exactly.
So
maybe it skips a generation because my son isn't like that at all. So
yeah. I was just more of the quiet, I was like, whatever. That was kind of my attitude as a kid. But again, Raul is here to chat about the Spurs and perhaps the biggest thing that's on Spurs fans' minds and lips and collectively across the fan base is Trae Young. Now, Spurs fans are drooling, most of them, not all of them, but a good majority of them are drooling over the thought of Trae Young coming to San Antonio, pairing up with Wembanyama. There's so many reports and scuttlebutt and this and that and he said, she said. But as always, where there's smoke, could there be fire? So we're going to be discussing that right now. So Raul, buy or sell that a Trae Young pairing with Wembanyama in San Antonio could happen?
At first I didn't think it was possible, but all the different little signs, I think I think the chances of it happening are about 70% right now. Mm-hmm. It just seems like Atlanta's getting ready to do a fire sale in the offseason. Looks like they're going to do a reset. So I definitely am leaning more toward it happening now. I would be surprised if Trae Young is not traded. Whether he comes to the Spurs or not is a different story, but I definitely think he's getting traded.
Yeah, I do too. I think Trae Young is getting traded now, whether San Antonio or not. I agree with you. That remains to be seen. But bringing Trae Young obviously would help Wemby in the scoring department. We see Keldon, I think right before the All-Star break, he had a horrible game. Devin Vassell, now credit to him, he did have a string of great games. 20 or more points. He was on fire, but, kind of dives off from time to time. And outside of Sohan and Vassell, really that's it as far as consistent offensive help. Sohan once in a while. Trae Jones, he does what he can. So bringing in Trae Young would solve that. And let's face it, Raul, we've seen this team go through offensive droughts, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just sort of inconsistent. Like there's times when Keldon looks amazing, a time when Devin looks amazing. Blake Wesley starting to come on. Wemby's obviously been the one consistent scorer all season, but even he's had little moments where he's kind of struggled at times. Trae would give them that extra boost, a veteran boost, definitely help their offense. He would be just a tremendous, tremendous asset for them.
Yeah. And look, you're bringing in a guy who's an all-star, for his career is averaging 25 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game. I was kind of impressed by this. I don't know if this is shocking to you, but for his career, close to 10 assists a game, 9.5. Mm-hmm. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's one of the underrated aspects of his game. He's a tremendous distributor. I think people sort of, because he's such a great shot maker and such a great scorer in the clutch, I think people kind of forget or overlook how good of an assist person he is. But he is tremendous at passing and distributing the ball, and he seems to know when to pass it and when to shoot it. So that's a huge asset for any team, especially a young team like the Spurs.
Absolutely. And again, for his career, shooting about 44% and 35% from the three line. So, obviously we know what he can do offensively. We've seen it, knocking down very deep threes, nearly half court. He can be electric. He can score with the best of them. We got that. But do you have concerns with defensively? He is undersized. He's not. He ain't winning no DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year awards, or let alone defensive all first teams. Is that a concern? Would it be addition and subtraction at the same time, or in today's modern NBA, does it really matter because nobody plays defense?
I think it'd be difficult. I think Spurs fans love him now. I think once he'd get on the court and he wouldn't be a sound defensively, I think you'd hear Spurs fans grumbling about that.
Yep, you will.
But Wemby makes up for a lot of mistakes. I think if you put Wemby and Sohan alongside him, I think that will make up for a lot. I think if you had Trae out, they'd probably put Trae on. Obviously someone a little smaller, someone that maybe not as scoring as much. And if he was going up against, say, like a Dame Lillard or someone like that, I think they switch out and they put Sohan on Lillard. So there's ways around it to where I think they could sort of lessen his defensive deficencies. But it's kind of like what they have now with Trae. Trae is a hustling guy, a lot better defensively than people give him credit for. But he is undersized. But Wemby seems to help him out as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think having Trae would be as big a hit defensively as some people might think.
Yeah, you're getting in the head. With Wemby in the back, defending the paint, you're good. You if somebody blows by Trae Young, all right, fine. So you gotta face Wemby. So good luck to you, whoever does that. But at the same time, though, again, addition by subtraction is Atlanta is probably going to put a high sticker price on that trade. Like multiple first-round picks, perhaps some of the young guys on the roster. I don't think he's Trae Young, the type of player that you mortgage your future away. We talked about this before we hit the record button, and you really have a good point about this. Although Spurs fans see the awesomeness of a 1-2 punch like Wemby and Trae Young, there is the business side of it. You think that it actually could hurt the Spurs in the rebuild?
I think so. I think if they can make a trade where they don't give up too many of their assets, they're always going to have to give up, some. But as far as like I've seen people talk about, basically giving away all their draft picks and or a lot of their draft picks and some young players, I think that's going to hurt them as far as not just the rebuild, but sustaining the team because, for whatever reason, free agents don't want to come to San Antonio. And I think even with Wemby, even if you put Wemby and Trae together, I still don't think free agents are going to want to come here. I don't know if it's the market size or what. I think some people say, oh, it's because they don't want to pay with Pop. No, players love Pop. I think it maybe has to do with the market size. I mean, you look at players that leave here, they're like Kawhi. Kawhi's doing more national commercials now.
Yep.
Everyone who seems to leave here seems to get a bigger stage once they go somewhere else, whether it's commercials or, being picked to all-star teams or getting, postseason honors. Like for whatever reason, San Antonio just doesn't get the acknowledgement that they deserve. So I think if you trade away those assets, how are they going to sustain their team in the future? Again, because you're not going to be able to get free agents. If Trae and Wemby do well, you can redraft in late. Spurs did a great job drafting Tony and Manu. But if for whatever reason, if they hadn't drafted them, like where were they going to Spurs going to get the players to fill that team out with alongside Timmy? Again, because I think the only free agent that only big name free agent that we came close to getting was Jason Kidd. And then he decided not to after all at the last minute from what I understand. So again, if you trade away those picks, what are you going to do in the future? Brian Wright, I know he gets knocked a lot, but he's done a tremendous job putting together all these assets, and people knock him a lot. But then at the same time, people are saying like, oh, we have all these assets, let's trade them away. Well, Brian Wright got all those assets, and he got them for a reason, to continue this build. And I know some people knock him, knock Brian Wright, but he's done a great job. Some people point to Oklahoma City and how they're able to get Shea, but they traded Paul George for Shea. If Brian Wright
and Shea wasn't Shea when he got traded. No.
And the thing is, like, if Spurs have been able to trade Kawhi for what he was worth, maybe they have a Shea, they have a bunch of draft picks, but at that time, Kawhi wanted to go, and I thought Brian did an amazing job getting what he did, considering Kawhi didn't want to be here. Kawhi was demanding to be traded. So reportedly, he only wanted to go to LA. Brian Wright got Jakob, DeMar, and some draft picks, and then he, traded DeMar and then Jakob for even more assets. So again, all those assets are very valuable, not just in order to maybe get a player like Trae, but also to sustain that team. They need those high draft picks in order to get those great players in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I at the end of the day, if the Spurs trade for Trae Young, I'm not going to be mad. I think that's going to be a great, but my concern is the price tag.
Yeah.
Just how much will the Hawks give that bill to the Spurs? That, okay, this is what's going to cost you. Now, Raul, they can't afford it. That's the good thing. You mentioned Brian right now. He has put them in a position to afford any type of price tag that, whether it be a Trae Young or whoever they go after, they can afford it. We know how many draft picks they got, first and second. We know how much cash they have, and we know how many young players they have on the roster that have the contracts are very team friendly. So they can, and that's what worries me. I think the NBA knows, other GMs know, and they're going to really stick to the Spurs. Hey, you just won Wemby, and then we want us to help you in this move, so there's that. So ultimately, there is smoke here. We saw what happened in the All-Star break. They were very chummy together. Yeah. Trae Young, then somebody asked him a very slick question like, oh, what do you think the Wemby needs, to join San Antonio, to help him in San Antonio, and he pretty much described himself. So, and years ago, Trae Young did an article at my former home, in the former TV news station I used to work with, saying like, hey, I like the Spurs, I like San Antonio, good organization there, good franchise. So he's never been shy about praising San Antonio. But he would definitely be a tremendous player on this team. I think he does quite a few things. Like you mentioned the scoring. I think one of the things that the Spurs lack right now is that clutch shooter. Oh yeah! In the final minutes of a game right now, they kind of struggle with that.
I think Devin could eventually be that. I think Victor could eventually be that. But right now, I think it would help them to have a veteran presence that can hit those late threes, or hit those late shots. The thing is the veteran presence. He's played long enough to where he'd be a veteran, but he's young enough to where he could be a part of this, this team for years to come. So, like I said, he'd be an absolutely tremendous get for them. But like you said, it depends on what they have to give up for him.
Yeah. Now, he's just still young. He's only 25, and so perfect, good build with this young core. He fits around their age, and I also think that he'll bring that peripheral benefit to San Antonio. More eyes on San Antonio. You can't tell me there'll be more national games with Wemby and Trae Young paired up in San Antonio playing against his former team. And look at these, that will just be blockbuster. Ticket sales will go up higher. Season tickets will go up more. So we all know that kind of impact with it. But interesting enough, though, so I looked at his win shares. So basically, for those who don't know, win shares is an estimate of the number of wins contributed by a player. So, for example, this season, through 50 games played with the Hawks, his win share total is 4.3. So, in other words, he helps Atlanta win about 4.3 games. For his career, it's 37.2 win share. So, interesting. So, you factor his win share in with the Wemby's, perhaps there's something there. And it makes sense. If he were to come to San Antonio, what do you think? Would it be instant play-in team for San Antonio or still rebuild mode because of maybe what they had to sacrifice to get him in Spurs colors?
Yeah, I think that'd be the big thing. I think it would be depend on what they gave up. That's the other thing about it is if they trade away these assets, there's still other holes to fill on this team. Their bench needs work. They could always go out and do what they did in the past, sign some, older veteran players to be on the bench. Maybe some undrafted free agents or guys that have been waived or cut, but they still need, bench players. And, I point to Oklahoma City again, what they've been able to do, all those draft picks that they got. That's why their bench is so deep, just because they've had so many draft picks and been able to acquire so many different players to where, they can extend that bench just on, just their first round draft picks. I mean, to me, Oklahoma City's got the best bench in the NBA, for me, as far as, just the diversity and what they can do and how many, different ways they can come at you. And again, that's the draft pick. So, so again, that's why I'm hesitant on the trade, trading everything for Trae Young, because you need those picks to sustain the team, build the team, and then, to fortify that bench. So, but as far as like, say best case scenario, they make a good trade, definitely play in. I think, if they keep the basic core, I'd see them, top 5, top 6.
Okay.
And with the, and then a year or two, contending. So, but he would definitely make them a playoff or either a playoff or a play-in team.
Yeah, I could definitely see play in, but I think at the bottom tier, because I know Atlanta's going to stick it to San Antonio. I know it's going to happen, and they're going to want those draft picks back, or maybe, okay, fine, keep our draft picks, but I'm making this up, everybody. Throw in Sohan, throw in Keldon, throw in Devin. Something like that's going to happen, and that could disrupt the chemistry moving forward. Now, look, Wemby and Trae will solve that chemistry issue immediately. And, just an eye test between those two guys. I mean, the pick and roll will be phenomenal. The in and out game, we want to post up and get murdered by Wemby, go for it. You want to hit him to push it back out to Trae, good luck defending him, going for the three or cutting to the basket. Pick your, screen set by Wemby, the protection he'll give him. I mean, it works great offensively, and we know defensively, Wemby will cure everything that happens. They're wrong on the defensive end. But yeah, ultimately, man, somebody asked me buy or sell. I'm gonna go buy. I'm gonna say buy. Yeah, there's probably is some interest there between the Spurs and the Spurs trying to chase Trae Young. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Spurs, always do their due diligence, so they're definitely going to look into it. But I think it just has to be right. I mean, it's Brian Wright is sort of leading this, but he obviously talks to RC and I'm sure Pop has some influence as well. So it's just going to have to be the right situation, the right fit, and I think I've mentioned this before. Spurs are very good at sort of planning for the future. Like they sort of know what they want to do, or hopefully what they're going to do. I don't think it was a coincidence that they tanked the year that Wemby was about to come out. I think they planned for that. So they seem to know kind of what's upcoming, what could possibly be. They look at the draft, the salary cap. They look at who's going to be free agents. So this is going to have to make sense for their plans in order for them to do this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, there you have it. Our thoughts on the whole Trae Young thing that's going on right now among the fan base and across the NBA world. We want to hear from you. What do you think about that? You can let Raul know on X at Dominguez5. And let me know on the Locked On Spurs YouTube fan page. All right. When we get back, we're going to catch you up with some Spurs news and notes, including something that Zach Collins is hoping that would happen, that Spurs fans are saying like, nah, it's okay. So we'll discuss that in just a few seconds. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Yes, you heard that right. That's $150 if your bet wins. Now, you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, exclusive props, live same-game parlays, so much more. I got the app. You should get the FanDuel app right now. Look, the Spurs season is fully underway. Yeah, they'll be back in action tonight. So why not run the rest of the season with the Spurs and having fun with it on FanDuel? So you want to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sports book partner of the NBA. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez, a.k.a. Tasmanian Devil himself. I don't believe that you were that much of a problem as a kid. I can't believe it.
I was. My like I said, my poor mother, she was a saint.
A lot of patience. A lot of patience. By the way, did you see the new X-Men trailer?
I did.
What'd you think?
I'm really looking forward to it. So I know that last season for the X-Men series wasn't all that great, but I'm looking forward to it. So it looks like they put a lot of time and effort into this one.
Yeah, it looks like they did. It looks like they tried to get as close to recreating the old 90s animation vibe. Obviously, it's a little bit more cleaner, and it's taking me getting some used to with Wolverine's new voice actor. It's not the same. That voice was iconic in the 97 series. But I am nerdy now. I can't wait. I know Bad Batch started, Star Wars Bad Batch that started yesterday, so I got to catch up on that. Nerding out as always right here on Lockdown. What do you expect? Look what's behind me, everybody. I mean, how can I not talk about that? Especially when I got Raul on, who he vibes with me in that department, in their department. But hey, Raul, let's catch up the Spurs fans on some Spurs news and notes. And you were talking about brands and players not coming to San Antonio because of they're looking out for the brand of their sneaker or whatever they're hawking. But the Wemby effect is in full effect. Louis Vuitton and Wembanyama struck a partnership. Wemby is now their new brand ambassador. There's already billboards, Louis Vuitton billboards with Wemby's face all in San Antonio. He could change that kind of outlook on San Antonio. If he can make it happen and it's successful, I can see the Spurs and recruiting. If Wemby gets on the recruiting train as well, and his career goes on, saying, "Hey, look, it's working for me with Louis freaking Vuitton in San Antonio." Your thoughts?
I mean, obviously, anything's like Wemby could pretty much, I think, do anything he wants. I mean, great player, tremendous character, comes from a great family, loves to play basketball. He's very committed to his craft. I think he could be a model. I think he could be a actor. I think he could do whatever he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm glad to see that this is happening, especially, with it being a brand from France. So it makes sense. But what we were talking about earlier, I believe Trae Young is part of Louis Vuitton too, isn't he? Or
I'm not too sure.
I saw an ad or something with Trae as well.
Interesting.
So,
Look at the rule connecting the dots right here. Okay, All-Star game. Trae Young says this about San Antonio. Oh, Louis Vuitton and Wemby and Trae Young. I see where you're going with it. I like it.
Yeah.
Bro.
So, but that'd be great for obviously Victor and the Spurs. But we're just talking about the All-Star weekend. I was honestly surprised that Victor didn't get more votes. Him being an international star, him being so popular on social media. Obviously, San Antonio, and then you got the French connection as well. I think he finished seventh or eighth in All-Star voting. I thought he'd be at least top 4. So I'm not sure why more people didn't vote for him, but I'm hoping, for his sake and for the Spurs' sake, that they do get a little bit more attention. So that way Victor gets, the things that he deserves. Like,
right.
I think if Victor's would have been in a bigger market, say New York or LA, he definitely, to me, I think there's no question he would have been an all-star starter in terms of fan vote. And so, hopefully things like this, the campaign, the other things that Victor's doing, and, Spurs start getting more successful, that he'll start getting more of the accolades, because, the big three for everything that they did, they didn't get the recognition that they deserved until after they retired.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, again, welcome to the new era of the Spurs. This whole Louis Vuitton thing and whatnot, during the big three era, it was pretty much non-existent. Maybe the closest you got was Tony, but it didn't go to this level.
Tim just loved playing basketball. He wanted, I think this was more of a not a job to him, but, something that he just did. I think Tim didn't like the attention. I think Tim just wanted to be himself, play basketball, go home, play some video games, and, great guy. Yeah, great guy, but he wasn't in it for the spotlight. I don't think Victor's in it for the spotlight as well, but I think Victor realizes that this is part of it. I think he understands that, the spotlight, the commercials, the appearances, the additional things. I think he understands this is part of sort of being a superstar. He's seen Jordan do it. He's seen LeBron do it. He knows, okay, this is part of building the brand. This is part of building my legacy. This is part of, this is included in sort of the superstar package that he wants.
No, absolutely, yeah. And he also drops F-bombs on national TV to everybody. So there's that. See,
he was quoting Pop. He was quoting Pop.
Yeah, he was quoting Pop. So it's not on. He didn't say it. Pop said it via Wemby. But yeah, the whole Louis Vuitton thing. He was wearing the clothes before it was official. He wore the my favorite with the Snake Eyes outfit. I don't know if you saw that. The black mask with the black goggles. I thought that was kind of cool. On draft day, he wore a Louis Vuitton outfit when he got selected number 1. During the interview, during the All-Star break, he was wearing that puffy jacket that you've been seeing him on all that Louis Vuitton ad. So the signs are out there that it was about to happen, and it did happen. So, all right, and other Spurs news. So quickly, if you guys are thirsty for some Spurs action, I know we all are. Okay, just a heads up, this upcoming Friday, the Spurs will face the Lakers. There's going to be a watch party at the Frost Plaza. It's at 1 Spurs Way if you're in San Antonio, 78256. It starts at 8 o'clock, and game tip-off is at 9:30 Central. There'll be music, lawn games, photo ops, giveaways. If you haven't been there, go to one. They're real fun. So, again, quick heads up for you Spurs fans. And finally, because you hear Raul's phone buzzing, we got to let him go soon. Interesting interview Zach Collins had with the Spokesman Review. He told that outlet that, yes, he enjoys playing with Wemby. He's impressed with his work ethic, how beyond he is as a rookie. The impact he's made on the court. He said, like, hey, Wemby doesn't get enough credit for his passing ability. Yay, Wemby. Yay, Zach. I think we all see this. But interesting, he threw in a little bit extra acknowledging that, that Zach Collins is now on the bench. And that he started the year pairing up with Wemby in the starting five. That didn't happen. Now he's hoping to end the season playing more with Wemby. Let's just say Zach Collins has been the whipping boy for a Spurs fan base this entire season. I put that out there. Sure enough, got the reaction that I kind of suspected would happen. But we were talking about the Zach and Wemby pairing. You felt it could have worked if certain things happened. What did you mean by that?
I think it could have worked better. I don't know if it would have something they could have sustained, but we were talking about it. Like, I always found it a bit strange that you had 2 7-foot guys and they were both, I think a lot of times I'd see both of them behind the 3-point line, on offense. Like, I kind of look down and you see, Jeremy come down, and then you see Zach on I think Zach was usually in the corner, I believe, or along the sides, and then Victor was at top the 3-point line. I was always kind of surprised. I figured it might work better if Zach was, say, in the low post and Victor was outside, and maybe they played sort of that maybe kind of a high-low game. Because like when David and Timmy played together, you always had David would usually be at the top of the key, and then Timmy would be, there on the, on the side, for his little bank shots and stuff. But David, a lot of times David would sort of feed the offense. He'd sort of be like a high post passer. Obviously, neither one of them really shot 3-pointers, but I always thought that Zach and Vic might work if it was something similar to that. But again, like a lot of times I'd see both of them at the 3-point line. I'm thinking like, okay, well, who's going to rebound? Who's going to, be down there to sort of pass the ball outside or whatever, and usually it'd be, I think at that time it was Keldon and I can't remember who were Keldon and Devin, were the ones who were sort of passing to the outside or whatever. I still think it might work at times and stuff if they did that, maybe kind of a high-low. Because Zach's a hell of a passer too. Zach loves those little bounce passes when someone's cutting to the basket.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
I think he'd be great at doing it.
And he's averaging a career high. He's averaging a career high in assists this season.
Yeah, he's a tremendous passer. I think that's underrated aspect of his game. But I think he'd be good at doing some lobs for alley-oops to Victor as well.
Yep.
I think it could work, but not if both of them are both standing outside the 3-point line, a lot, because again, that takes away from who's going to get the offensive rebound, who's going to maybe do some of that high-low. And again, Victor and Zach are both tremendous passers. I'd love to see them, sort of get used to each other and sort of do some of these passes, because I don't think Zach would have a problem getting Victor an alley-oop pass. And I think at times the Spurs have problems with that as far as maybe not passing it high enough, maybe not getting it to him at the right time. I think with Zach's, because he's a little taller and a good passer, I think he could have some tremendous plays with Victor.
Yeah, absolutely. I looked at some of the numbers on and off numbers and net ratings, all that good stuff. So when Wemby and Zach are on the court together, I think the net rating that factors in the offensive defensive rating was like at a -14. So when Wemby was on the court and Zach was off the court, the net rating between the two dropped up, I guess, to a -4. So clearly, it made sense to move, Zach to the bench. But look, at this point of the season, does it really matter if they're playing together? I mean, it's going to be a short next couple of weeks of the season. I think what the Spurs have maybe 30 games left or something like that, or something. Something to experiment. I'm not talking about having Zach back in the starting lineup, but I think I'd love to see them play together. By maybe 5-minute burst or something. Just kind of see what they can do. I mean. Again, I think the other thing is with Zach and Victor is like they didn't have a, Jeremy struggle at point guard, so whoever he had on the court at the time was going to struggle, Yeah, exactly. And but maybe Zach will get his wish, with just 30 games left. So who knows? I mean, could we probably are going to see a huge change in lineup roster next season. Who knows if Zach gets dealed, as far as the Spurs making roster moves. But let's just say everybody Spurs fans did not like what Zach had to say. The big old Bugs Bunny meme with him saying no, immediately started flying up everywhere. If you want to check out that article and more, go to kens5.com/Spurs right now. Raul, what's cooking on your side of things? I know the Spurs have been away from San Antonio, but they get back in action today versus Sacramento. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Just kind of waiting for the Spurs to get back. So, this road to a road trip is always so weird because it feels like it's like almost a whole nother season, but by the time they come back. So, yeah.
And when they come back, they leave again.
Mm-hmm.
They come back for like a 1 or 2 games and then they have another, 3-4 game roadie. So, yay, they're back. In and out. But no, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Spurs world. Sure, maybe the season ain't that great, but, if anything, I'm looking forward to seeing how the auditions continue for the rebuild. I think that's going to be interesting to watch to close out the season. Those the Austin games, the Spurs games, in Austin, not Austin Spurs G League. There's that. So there's some stuff to look forward to still, Spurs fan. Hang on in there. Raul will get your back over there on the AP side of things, and I'll get your back here at kens5.com. By the way, all right, make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez Single. Hey, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every single day. We'll be back tomorrow with another Raul. Yes, Raul Flores from the EP radio side of things.
Original Raul.
The OG Raul. He'll be back. Returning, for his second appearance to close out the week here on Locked On Spurs, talking all things Spurs as well with that other Raul. So, look forward to that. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube. Seriously, pick a platform. We are there. And Locked On Sports 24/7 channel is live. It's called Locked On Sports Today. Go check it out. It's on YouTube, national, regional, local hosts. We're all there. Locked On Sports Today, 24-hour streaming channel only on YouTube. So for Raul, the Tasmanian Dominguez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.